Well, now, the new road bypassing two wells in Virginia has, as we recently reported, caused a few problems for the residents of that area. And there's another place just north of Adelaide where a detour was made at Gawler. Now, in the years since it took place, has progress bypassed Gawler, or has the bypass brought progress to Gawler? Well, Tony Gordon's been doing his best to find out.
Gawler always has been a reasonably successful town financially. Always considered as a sleepy little town just north of Adelaide and a nice place for a Sunday drive, the town of Gawler has a history of industry and wealth. Of course, Gawler suffered like every town during the Depression. Businesses closed and men were put out of work. There wasn't one corner of Australian life that wasn't affected by that era. It's a long way from the 30s to the 80s, and it's interesting to see how the town has adapted and grown. Tourism is an important part of Gawler's finance. The shops are geared for the city people who every weekend invade this area to pick up antiques and bric-a-brac, buy home-baked cakes and pies, go to the races, or maybe just go there to get away. Then one has to ask the question, is Gawler a rural town, still relying on farming for the big dollar, or a huge parasite living off the blood of the city?
Are the incoming dollars city dollars, or are they still rural dollars?
I think primarily they would be rural dollars. Gawler still relies very heavily on the farming community because if the farmers don't have a good year, they haven't got the money to spend. And I think that the whole commercial area relies very greatly on a good harvest. When the farmer has money, he'll change over his farm equipment, buy a new motor car, buy household appliances, and also go into luxury items, and I think even the specialty shops in the town benefit when the farmer's got money.
According to the Commonwealth Bank in Gawler, more loans for houses both new and established are farmed out every year, and the growth rate of the town is steady and healthy. That paints a rosy picture of the future of Gawler, but it must be noted that Gawler also has an exceptionally high number of unemployed, especially in the youth sector.
No, not employed. You're finding trouble finding a job up this way?
Oh yeah, up this way it's hard to get a job. Yeah.
How long have you been looking?
About 2 years.
Really, 2 years?
Yeah.
Without luck?
No. Oh, well, I suppose it's like it wherever you go these days. It's hard, no matter what you do. I think it's just a matter of got to battle away like every job in whatever you tackle these days, and hope you get on top of it.
Well, I don't know. I work in Elizabeth. I think it's about the same economically, really.
Well, it's going ahead really quickly. It's sort of half and half. You've sort of got both lots of environment here, and it will go ahead slowly, though, because you've got a lot of the older generation here, and they like to see things their way.
The town isn't without its characters. The Winnan brothers. They've carried on a family business started by their father in 1916. In this little store. They still do things the old-fashioned way. They sell in bulk, and lollies for the kids are wrapped in paper cones.
We still actually go for orders. I go for orders and deliver. So we're about the only firm that actually goes in that style today. I've been calling for orders since I was about 13-year-old, and I still call for orders. And there's a couple of customers over Gawler South that I called on when I was 13-year-old, and I'm still called on.
Oh, really?
Of course, there's a lot passed on since then.
Traditionally, brothers have been terrible business partners, but you two seem to get on all right.
Oh, yes, we don't have any arguments now. We're both brought up in the game, and, well, by arguing the point, it always takes two to make a row, doesn't it? I try not to make any rows.
What do you reckon of Gawler in the future?
Well, the Gawler will do me. And everybody that comes into the town is happy with the place that I ever meet. This will be my destination. I've never been out of it.
Reg Winnan seemed to sum up the general feeling in the town. It doesn't really matter if things turn sour, the people just won't leave Gawler. It's their home, and it's going to stay that way. Mayor of Gawler, Gil Harnett, has some reasons why.
I believe it's the rural atmosphere that we have here, Tony. There's no doubt that land, not so much now, but in the last 10 years, was probably cheaper than a lot of the suburban areas of Adelaide. We have a lot of people up here that tend to be keen on horses and small farms. And this is a great attraction to Gawler.
What about townies, people from Adelaide coming up to buy houses and commuting to Adelaide? Many of those?
Yes, Gawler's largely a dormitory town, Tony. They do live in Gawler. They consider themselves Gawlerites. But of course most of our employment is outside of the town. Places like GMH and Weapons Research are probably the major employers in this area.
Was it ever hard to sell the town to the public?
Never had to sell it to the public, Tony. Gawler is... I've been here some 27 years. Probably when I first came to Gawler, the population was around about 6,000. I would suggest the population now is around about 7,000. So it's always had this hard core of Gawlerites who love the place. No, don't have to sell it at all. Marvellous community spirit.
And I imagine, like other towns, depending on a rural community or a farming community, they're hoping for a break in the drought. So there we are. Gawler doing okay. Back in a moment, and we'll stay in the country.